Hello my friends, my name is Rich and welcome to Greatest Rock and Metal. On Greatest Rock and Metal I talk about what are for me the greatest rock and metal albums, bands and gigs of all time, based on listening to thousands of albums and going to hundreds of gigs over many years. Please press the red button to subscribe to this channel. It's very easy to do, doesn't cost you any money, it's free, and I would be very grateful if you could do so. Thank you very much. Today is the third and final part of my ranking of the AC/DC studio discography. As I've said on the past episodes, I've gone through or by the end of today, I would have gone through all 16 of their international studio released albums. And today we start with the final 5. And at number 5 in my rankings is the first album that was released internationally for AC/DC in 1976. The album High Voltage. This was the world's introduction to AC/DC. In Australia they'd had some previous releases, and this was kind of like a compilation album of the previous tracks, with some of them discarded, and they later appeared on the Jailbreak 74 EP for us international people. So 1975's Jailbreak. On this episode I've been picking my favourite 2 tracks of each album, and the first track I will pick is It's a Long Way to the Top If You Wanna Rock and Roll. Gotta pick this because, well, first and foremost, it's the first track on the album. It's that first introduction to AC/DC for the world. And what a cracking track to pick. It even gets bagpipes in it. Why bagpipes? Well, those of you who know a bit of your AC/DC history will know that Angus and Malcolm Young, the lead guitarist and rhythm guitarist, were actually born in Scotland, the home of bagpipes, and they later, when they're a little bit older, moved to Australia. So we got some bagpipes in there, and we got the brilliant chorus. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. Great song. Really love this song, even after all of these years. Another great track, Live Wire. Live Wire, what a brilliant song. And well, it's just a great song. There's nothing more to be said about that. Probably a definitive version of Live Wire. Oh, it didn't appear on that. Forget that, what I was going to say then. It's another live, like a bootleg album that I've got where Live Wire appears. And sorry, I thought a live version of Live Wire was on that. And in fact, I think it was it this one? I think it was, but I cannot see it at the moment. I think it's on this. This DVD that was also done as a CD, where Live Wire might be the opening track on here. I've certainly got something somewhere where there's a live version of Live Wire as the opening track, and it's just killer, absolute killer. I think I've talked enough about Live Wire. Okay, so number 4 on my list is another Bon Scott era album from 1977. Let There Be Rock. Look at the back cover there, a young Angus as well. So, Let There Be Rock. This was the first Bon Scott era album that I bought. The first AC/DC album I bought was Back in Black. This was the first Bon Scott era album, and what an album to pick. Every track on here is a winner. Of course it is, we're into the top 4 now. So these are albums that are stuffed full of brilliant, brilliant tracks. And you cannot go far wrong when you have an album that has Let There Be Rock on it, Bad Boy Boogie, Problem Child, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, and Whole Lotta Rosie. And that's not all of them, they're just the real top tracks that I've picked up here. The 2 best tracks for me are, of course, Whole Lotta Rosie, gotta be on there. You've got the not only brilliant lyrics, but fantastic guitar playing on this track from Angus. And then the other track that I would pick is Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, another brilliant, brilliant song. Both of those songs pretty much, well, Whole Lotta Rosie is always in the AC/DC set list, and Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be still pops up in the set lists that they do today very often. Okay, number 4, Let There Be Rock. At number 3 from 1978, the album Power Age. Now, for many, many AC/DC fans, this would be their number 1 choice. And of course, we all have different opinions. So, but this is the album, the last album that was done before they started to get the more polished production. And this is why many old school AC/DC fans would pick this as their top one. It is a great, great album. There's some superb tracks all the way through this. The top 2 that I would pick is Riff Raff. Riff Raff! Great, great song, great, great song. And also a more of a not as aggressive type of song, Up to My Neck in You. I've been up to my neck in trouble. Great, great song, and you can just imagine these lyrics are exactly what Bon Scott's life was like. Great album, great album. There isn't a bad track on here, of course. It's number 3 on the rankings. Of course, it's going to be chock full of great tracks. Whew! Let's take a bit of a break and let's have a look at rock t-shirts by the sea. Hope you enjoyed that. Okay, we're into the top 2. And of course by now, all you AC/DC fans out there will know what the top 2 are. It's just in what order. Well, my number 2 pick is from 1979, Highway to Hell. It wins for album cover. AC/DC have got a lot of great album covers, I think. This is, and I know a lot of their album covers are just their logo, but this is just a fantastic album cover. I just love, so iconic, and then we see what have now become legendary, the devil horns, Angus and the devil horns. Go to an AC/DC gig today, or when we can, when COVID has disappeared, you'll see the flashing devil horns all over the place. I should have got mine out actually, but I forgot. Very sorry. So, Highway to Hell, my number 2 choice. Picking 2 songs as top tracks on this album, almost impossible. It really is almost impossible. It can change on a daily basis. So, of course, I'm going to pick the title track. One of their most famous songs, Highway to Hell. Got to be one of the selections. And the other song I will pick is one of the more deeper tracks, If You Want Blood. I love Phil Rudd's drumming on this. I don't particularly know why, because he's not a particularly flashy drummer. He just plays the beat, but he plays the beat so well. There's certain drummers who don't really do very much but do a lot, and Phil Rudd is one of them. He just keeps that beat that is so necessary for AC/DC's sound, and no better example than the album Highway to Hell, produced by this was the first album that Mutt Lange was the producer for. Why do I keep mentioning Mutt Lange? Well, he's a very important producer in the field of rock and metal. He was involved in 3 of the AC/DC albums that all became massive sellers. He was famously involved, of course, with Def Leppard in creating Pyromania and the Hysteria albums. Again, 2 huge sellers, and their High and Dry album as well. And one thing that Mutt Lange can bring to the table is he can really bring out the melody in songs, and he worked with bands a lot on ensuring that they've got great melody throughout their songs, and he does it brilliantly here on Highway to Hell. But to make great songs, you have great songwriters, and the consistency of the songs that Malcolm Young and Angus Young and Brian Johnson and Bon Scott write is testament to this amazing discography that I've been going through on these 3-part episodes. So, the number 1. Before we get to number 1, let's take a look at rock t-shirts by the sea. Hope you enjoyed that. So, the number 1 album, we all know what it is by now. From 1980. The first album in which Brian Johnson debuted as the singer for AC/DC. It is, of course, Back in Black. The legendary album, Back in Black. One of the biggest selling albums of all time. Not just of rock and metal, but biggest selling albums of all time. I think it's now the 2nd biggest album of all time, selling album of all time, just behind Michael Jackson's Thriller. Quite a way behind Michael Jackson's Thriller, but that is incredible to think that this album has been bought by so many people. I myself have bought this album, first bought it on vinyl, then I bought an original CD, then I bought vinyl again because the old vinyl was played out so much, and then I bought this remastered CD. And I have no doubt that at some time in the future I will buy another version of Back in Black, whatever version that may be in the future. Probably some microchip version that we just slot into a hole in our head. Who knows what the future brings? One thing I do know is that the brilliance of this album will never diminish. Back in Black. Picking 2 tracks off this album, well, you could just toss a coin, and wherever the coin lands, you've got a great track. There's not a single bad track on this album, and like I've said on some of the previous ones, on a daily basis, you could ask me, and my choice has changed again. For today, the 2 tracks that I will pick are, first of all, Shoot to Thrill. A brilliant song, a superb song live. I always love the way the crowd really gets into Shoot to Thrill. A great example of that is, where is it? Oh, down here. Live at the River Plate DVD, Blu-ray. Check out Shoot to Thrill video of from there, where you see the reaction from the crowd, the Argentinian crowd. It's amazing. Such a brilliant live song. And of course, I've got to pick the title track. The legendary song Back in Black and the famous guitar riff. Da, 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 da. Guitarists the world over can crank out that riff. It's so famous. There's not much to the lyrics, it's just back in black, back in black, back in black. But the simplicity of the song is the greatness of the song. So there you have it. That is my ranking of the AC/DC discography. Hope you've enjoyed that. Please feel free if you want to leave in the comments below your thoughts on my ranking. What is your ranking of the AC/DC albums? Whether you want to rank all 16 or just your top 5. I understand that my ranking might not be the same as some others, and that's the whole beauty of rock and metal, and that we all have our different opinions. Please press the red button to subscribe to the channel. It's free and it's easy to do, so that you can enjoy future episodes of Greatest Rock and Metal. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and remember, as always, we rock!